Well, tonight we continue with more insight into tomorrow's budget presentation. We're joined live tonight by Mike Mora, the CEO of the Arawak Port Development and Chairman of the Bahamas Chamber of Commerce and Employers Confederation. Good evening, Mr. Mora, and thanks so much for joining us.
Good evening, Keishla.
Well, first I want to ask you the big question I think everyone has when the budget period rolls around. Will there be new taxes? What do you think about that prospect and what the implications are?
Well, in your statement, you indicated that the minister had spoken to that this national budget would be relevant to all Bahamians. And by relevant, I hope that that takes into consideration the burden and challenge and struggle that the Bahamian economy has had over the last several years. The reason that we're in a state that we're in right now is because we've seen our central government double in size over the last 10 years. We've seen our fiscal deficit as a percentage of GDP triple. We have seen the introduction of VAT, which now brings us somewhere in the total of around $700 million a year, which was implemented to address this same fiscal challenge that we have today, not having delivered on its promise. We also have the inefficiency and continued subsidization of state-owned enterprises. We have the opportunity to look within as a government to address our own house rather than to look to our taxpayer again as the means in which to bail us out.
All right, you also spoke off air with me about the doubling and tripling of the deficit. How likely is that to recede anytime soon? And talk about the implications of those large figures as well.
Well, I mean, the credit rating agencies come through and visit us every 3 to 4, 6 months. It's a concern for them. The cost of money becomes more expensive if we don't get our fiscal house in order. It does impede foreign direct investment. It does hurt us as a local economy as well. So, I would applaud the government and this administration in the steps that they've taken so far in the first year. Something has to be done. It's not something that can be corrected this year or the next year. It took us, over 10 years, the government doubled in size. It will take some time to reduce government, to make government more efficient. The government does have in front of it a series of initiatives that are going to help address both efficiency, transparency, and cost. And the government, I hope that within this national budget, we're going to be seeing those programs emphasized and advanced.
And of course, we also want to talk a little bit about business interest. You spoke about the importance of, in your mind, changing the business license formula. Explain.
Well, for far too long, we've had a tax formula that basically is based off gross turnover or gross revenue. And what we have seen in the business community is that you could have a business, very likely, because we did have them through 2014, 2015, 2016, where we had very difficult economic times. Businesses, in many instances, were losing money, but that gross revenue formula would cause a business to have to pay tax at a time when it has no money to pay that tax. What we're suggesting is that the government consider or contemplate a tax on gross profit, which would consider the cost of doing business.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mike Moore, the CEO of the Arawak Port Development and also representing the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks so much for talking with us tonight.
Most welcome.